welcome to another show of Momtalk LA. It's a pleasure to have with me today Melissa Monsefi. She has come a long way in parenthood, from becoming a stepmom into being 9 months and
due in 2 weeks.
Due in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And today's hot topic on Momtalk LA we thought would be discussing dual identity, what it's like navigating between two worlds, two cultures that are very different at times and yet very similar at others. And so I wanted to open up our discussion today with some of the challenges that you've personally experienced as a stepmom, as a mom-to-be, and growing up here in America.
In Los Angeles, yes.
In Los Angeles, yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's been really challenging. Obviously, our parents came from a totally different world, immigrated here, and we were raised, you know, they wanted to raise us with their traditional ways and in our traditional culture, Iranian culture, and it was very, very different. We all know it's very different from, you know, the culture here. So there was definitely a lot of times that, you know, I butted heads with my parents, and, you know, I felt like they didn't understand. And I'm hoping that our generation can change that, because we grew up here and we're much more modern and much more acclimated to this culture. And so I'm hoping that as a parent today, I can pick up some of the great things that they taught me, but also some of the things that maybe they weren't so educated about and I'm more educated about, changing those aspects, such as our overemphasis on image, for example.
Okay, let's talk about
I
that.
feel like our culture definitely has an overemphasis on what people think, and there's blueprint of how you're supposed to be, or how you're supposed to raise your kids, and what's considered quote-unquote prestigious. And I think that as a mom, as a stepmom now and as a mom-to-be, I really want to make sure that I work on allowing my kids to be themselves and exploring their strengths, and not necessarily, you know, trying to force them into being the kind of person that I think they should be, you know, based on, you know, what I think is good for them. And it's very difficult, I think, as a parent, but I want to try to work on being that way. You know, I think the two very prestigious things are doctor or attorney, and it was a lot of pressure to either be a doctor or be an attorney, of which neither one I was interested in and I followed. But you know, when I was younger and I wanted to play an instrument, you know, playing the piano was considered to be very classy and great, and all girls should know how to play the piano. And I wanted to play the guitar, and it was very, my dad was, you know, shocked, and he just couldn't understand how, why would I want to play the guitar? It's for boys, and it's not, you know, for girls. And, you know, so I wasn't really allowed to explore everything I wanted to explore. Or taking a second language. I really wanted to take Spanish. My parents really wanted me to take French, because French was, you know, classier at the time and more prestigious. Well, you know, I think Spanish would have been much more useful, you know, in today's world. I think especially living in Los Angeles, it opens doors for, you know, various jobs, and, you know, so things like that, you know, it was just very much a blueprint of what was considered to be right, you know, or considered to be, what's the word? Accepted. There it is, accepted. Pregnancy has affected my brain. I'm sorry. You gotta help me out here.
So your parents married interculturally, correct?
Yes.
Your mom
is Armenian, and my dad is Turkish.
Okay.
Yes.
So what was that like, growing up in an
You know, it was, for me, it actually wasn't difficult, because neither one of my parents is very, you know, very, you know, adamant about following their cultural beliefs. My parents are not religious. My mom was Christian. My dad was Muslim. When they got married, I didn't grow up in a religious family, so that didn't really affect us. But, you know, I actually grew up learning the best of both. I have a little bit of my personality from my Armenian culture, which is I'm very direct, and a little aggressive, and and then from my Iranian culture, my Turkish culture, I picked up other personality traits. But we kind of were allowed to, we celebrated Persian New Year, we celebrated Christmas. So for me personally, it wasn't that, but I did always see myself different when I was around my Iranian family, because I felt like I was a little bit more direct and aggressive than they were. They were a little bit more, I think, acted in a way which was more acceptable, and I was a little bit more, I think, myself.
So you grew up in an environment which was interfaith, the cultures were respected, communication was open.
Absolutely.
Parents who were a little more liberal, open-minded, and allowed you to explore and express yourself and do what you wanted to do. So I'm imagining perhaps you experienced less of ambivalence in navigating between the two cultures?
A little bit less than I think maybe, other people may have, and other youngsters at that age may have, but I mean, my parents, even though they did, have this traditional mentality, because Persian Armenian, my mom is Persian Armenian, so still she was born in Iran, and so it's not that different, but they did allow us to, my father was really big on having open communication lines. He allowed us to he allowed me to talk about what I wanted to do, and he opened that forum, which a lot of parents don't, from their generation. So it was a little bit less for me, I think, but still, I definitely experienced it.
Do you practice that today with your family, with your stepson, and will you be practicing that style of communication with your
Definitely. That's one thing I really think is very important is we have open communication. I feel like you should have a friendship, with your kids. There's a line. There's a line. You don't want to be too much friends, but then you don't want to be too much of a dictator. You want to have, it's a line, I guess, that through experience you kind of learn, but I definitely want our kids to be comfortable to come to us and talk to us about things, and let them be themselves and tell us how they feel and what they want to do in their lives, and kind of respect their individuality. But now what I want to try to do is set an example for our kids, and teach them from a young age to eat healthy, to have an active lifestyle, doing active family things together, whatever that may be, going to the park, to the beach, anything, whatever you're into, surfing, skiing, just keeping your kids active. And I think, that lifestyle also brings along with it a lot of confidence. Kids, statistically speaking, kids that are into sporting activities are less likely to get into drugs. And kids that are confident, that's a very important thing. And that confidence, again, comes from having an open communication, not shutting your kids down when they want to talk about something,
Right. And the most important sort of tool you have between you and your child to foster, nurture the communication is your attachment.
Absolutely.
The type of bond that you create. And it's not just your bond with your child, it's the triadic bond. It's your bond with your husband, with your child, the three of you. And it's really important to be aware and know the obstacles, the pitfalls, and how to navigate through. Because in today's modern life, with parents going back to work so early and being so busy and being so driven to achieve and having high expectations in achievement, we've noticed a higher pace, speed, and how things are done nowadays. Things are on the go, and it's really important to be mindful of it, to slow down. I struggle with this on a daily basis, to have to remind myself to slow down.
Absolutely,
slow down
100%.
And check in and connect and make sure that you are raising a child within a secure attachment frame, and that's important. That's sort of core to everything else.
Absolutely, 100%. I agree with that. And again, I think that the attachment parenting that you speak about, I fully understand it, and I've read about it a lot. And I think, again, it ties in with everything. Is that that it's important to have a bond and this connection with your child. I think that our generation at some point was disconnected from our parents because we just didn't have, it's not just the physical connection, it's the emotional connection. And so, absolutely, 100%.
So if you said to your Mom, I don't like playing the piano, I like playing the guitar. Had your mom been a more authoritarian mom, she would have said,
I could have been in a rock band right now. I could have been in a rock band, you never know. I could have been famous in a rock band,
And Max Amini has a fun clip. Let's watch this clip with Max Amini talking about tomato juice and the Persian moms. It's pretty
Iranians
funny.
Here? Iranians, let me hear it. Iranians. Oh, cool. That's very nice of you. Very nice. Very nice. I'm glad you all came out. That's very sweet, man. Iranians are good people, man. You know, one thing, cool thing is there's so many Iranians live in Los Angeles that actually other races are very familiar with our culture. Like, you know, white guy, for example, like a lot of my white friends, like they've dated Persian girls. They're like, oh yeah, I dated this girl named Nulufar. It's like, all right, cool. And they always have some shit to say. But, you know, Middle Eastern women, I'm going to say this, Middle Eastern women, they all have one thing in common. One thing. They all say this when you meet a Middle Eastern or specifically a Persian girl, when you meet them, they all say the same line. I go, hi, where are you from? Persian, nice to meet you. She goes, oh, I know, I am Persian. I am Persian, but I'm not a typical Persian girl. I swear I'm not a typical Persian. I'm very different. I am so different you don't even know. I'm not a typical Persian girl. And you're looking like, are you serious? Like you're wearing black head to toe, 5 pounds of makeup and a Gucci bag, and the nose job? No, this is not a nose job. This is not a nose job. See, I had breathing problem. I had a breathing problem. And the doctor said, you have to get a job right now. See, I couldn't breathe. My nose was like this. And the air was getting stuck in the mountain right here. No, seriously. And my brain was going without the oxygen. So I had to get a nose job right there. I didn't care to make it beautiful. I just had to do it. Now my nose is like this. When I breathe, it goes straight into my head. Oh, I feel so much better. I am not a typical Persian girl.
So that clearly wasn't the tomato clip, the tomato juice clip from Max Amini, but we will have that for you later in the show. But we do want to talk about body image and how body image is a big topic issue in today's modern moms and parents living in Los Angeles and our multicultural families. And so in your experience, how do you find, are moms a little too obsessed over their looks and getting nose jobs and surgery?
Well, I mean, in Los Angeles, I mean, I would say this is the capital for that. But again, it's overemphasis on image rather than substance. I think that that is clearly a huge aspect of I think, life in the environment in Los Angeles. You know, that there is a lot of overemphasis on image, and this is American or Iranian, it doesn't matter, rather than substance. And people are so, you know, wanting to conform to what's beautiful and losing the baby weight within 2 weeks and, you know, looking a certain way. And they're, you know, I see these young women, you know, at my age, you know, I'm clearly saying that I'm young, but, you know, walking around and they've got so much stuff going on their face, and, you know, listen, I'm not against it. I'm not against doing things once in a while, you know, but to do anything overboard, you know, is just not good.
And so when we compare the different cultures, as Max Amini's pointing out, so perhaps some of our non-Iranian-American friends who do get a nose job or get Botox, they're a little more open about talking about it. When it comes to our culture, we're a little hush-hush and, you know, don't want to really...
Yeah, and, you know... Listen, if you're doing it, be proud of it. You know, if you're getting Botox, yeah, I got Botox. I mean, but, you know, again, I think to a certain, you know, I've gotten Botox before. I have to say it, because whoever's watching and knows me is going to be like, I know she got Botox. So I have had Botox myself. But, you know, again, it's you know, minimal things, balanced is okay. When things get out of control and you're emphasizing, you're obsessed about, you know, the way you look, and you're not really putting emphasis on who you are, you know, things that really matter, rather than, you know, just focusing and being obsessed with every little line that shows up on your face. Or because your kids watch you do that. Yeah. Your kids watch you do that, and they watch your mom turning into the Cookie Monster, you know, from over a load of Botox, or looking like a character from Lionheart, you know. You know, so you want to, again, you want to set an example. It's okay to take care of yourself, exercise, go to the gym, but being over obsessed, and that reflects onto your kids. I've seen parents telling their kids, you know, being really forceful, don't eat this, and those are the kids that are overweight.
Yeah.
Because you're now, you know, pushing this lifestyle. So balance, I think, is the key.
I absolutely agree. I think those mirror neurons are so receptive. They're so sensitive, especially during these early years. And so what we're doing, and these subtle ways that we relate to our bodies and take care of ourselves and embrace the natural aging process.
Absolutely.
And don't feel anxious about it. I think it's a good way to teach our children these healthy messages, and do focus more on substance, on the inner beauty, and what it's like to be engaged in our environment, conservation, culture, peace, and all those things that really matter, as opposed to the lines and yeah,
I think it's good, honestly, to remove your kids once in a while from this environment. Take them on trips and cultural, you know, to see other cultures and other people, and even if you're not traveling outside the country, just to other parts of, you know, other parts of the States, and just let them kind of see how other people live, because it is very tough. And I grew up, I mean, I've been in Los Angeles for 30 years. I grew up in this environment from when I was really young, and it's really easy to fall into this bubble of what's reality, and it really isn't what's reality to the rest of the world.
Right.
You know, so
and traveling and experiencing other cultures is a big part of becoming more realistic about life and reaching out to the rest of the world. Where have you been traveling this past year?
I have. We've traveled in the past year. We went to South Africa.
Oh my goodness!
Which was really amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it was just such a difference from any other part of the world. So we really were lucky that we went to Cape Town. We were in Johannesburg. We took a little safari. That was great. It was, you know, again, it was seeing different cultures and seeing how these people live, and you know, you saw how some of the, you know, well-off people lived, and then you saw these children, you know, that really had zero opportunity there, that were, you know, drawing and selling their paintings, and you know, it's just really nice to leave Los Angeles, honestly, for me especially. It was beautiful. So we went there. We were in Bora Bora. We did a little trip there. Yeah, you know, so I mean, we try. I mean, my favorite place that I've traveled to has been Egypt, because it's just so much culture and history there. So I'm hoping one day to take our kids there, definitely.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's awesome. Peace learning, parenting is all about culture and teaching our kids about conservation, and I know you are committed to this process, and great communication and compassion, and teaching our children about cooperation. So thank you for bringing your life story to the table.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And we do have the tomato juice clip that we like to show you before we end the program, and it is really funny, hilarious. And thank you so much for joining us today on Momtalk LA. Until next week, goodbye.
My mom, man, I love my mom. My mother is so caring and so loving, you know, because they're Middle Eastern. They like kill you with like feeding you, and they feed you so much you want to die. But you know, my mom knows me so well. She does this one thing that drives me crazy. Like I came home the other day. And she says, "Hey, come here, come here, come here." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "I bought some organic tomato juice." Now, I hate tomatoes. She knows I hate tomatoes, and she does it like it's a secret. It's great for you. Mom, I don't like tomato juice. No, have some. It's good for your hair, for your heart, for your brain, for your manhood, everything. Mom, I hate tomato juice. Okay. That means you're dead. Okay, don't worry about it. Okay, go. It's okay. Okay, but she doesn't give up. This is just the beginning. You think it's really over? No! They set up the table, all my sisters come, they're cheering tomato juice. Oh my God, what a fantastic tomato juice! Oh, you know, you want some? No, I'm okay. You don't know what you're missing. It's okay. They eat, they finish, my mom doesn't give up. She leans in, pours a whole glass of tomato juice. Just have a little bit. Come on, just a qulub, come on. Have a little bit. You know, at that point I lose it. I'm like, Mom, I don't want any tomato juice. Yeah. What is wrong with you? It's not like anybody forcing you. Nobody's twisting your arm. You don't want to drink it, don't drink it. You're crazy like your father! Your father crazy like you! Get out of my house! Get out of my house! Mom, I'm sorry. Bring the whole bottle of tomato juice. The whole bottle right now. Very good.